Hi, I'm John Sadler, President of Sadler Sports Insurance, and we're the endorsed insurance provider for the Dixie programs. And I just wanted to briefly summarize what is new in the world of insurance and risk management for the 2019 season. As regards insurance, we're offering the same policies, same insurance carriers, and the same coverages as last season. Our per team prices for general liability will be offered at a rate increase of 5% for youth, boys, and softball, and the accident policy will be offered at a 5% reduction for youth and boys and no change for softball. It's interesting to note that we aggressively negotiate renewal pricing, and the accident and general liability rates are less than they were in 2007, and in some cases, significantly less. And our prices for the additional policies of directors and officers liability, crime, and equipment will remain the same. As regards risk management and compliance, Congress passed a new federal law in early 2018, Senate Bill 534, which is referred to as the Safe Sport Act, which applies to preventing child abuse. This new federal law applies to every youth baseball and softball program in the United States, including Dixie baseball and softball, and every league in this room in one way or another. It directly applies to any league that has a single team that will cross state lines to compete in a Dixie World Series. However, even if your league does not have a team that crosses state lines to compete, the new law imposes a new standard of care that will apply to all amateur sports organizations. In the event of an incident at your league, failure to comply will result in civil liabilities and in criminal responsibility if you fail to report a suspicion of abuse. The new act does not address criminal background checks directly, but you know that that's something that you have to do as a minimum level of due diligence under the law. Also, your general liability insurance through Sadler has a $2 million limit for abuse molestation lawsuits, but coverage is voided if you don't have a system in place to run a criminal background check on all adults with access to youth. The Safe Sport Act requires a formal written program in place that covers your policies on limiting one-on-one contact between adults and minors, an education program for both adults and minors, and an absolute requirement to notify law enforcement in the event of a suspicion of an incident instead of trying to handle things internally. It expands the scope of the traditional child abuse risk management plans and covers new ground on preventing the sexual grooming process, travel precautions, and electronic and social media restrictions. We're working with the Dixie programs to tailor a new abuse molestation risk management plan specifically for Dixie that is safe sport compliant, which will be available on the Dixie websites and on the Sadler insurance websites. Now that I've explained what's new, I want to tell you what I think you need to do based on my 30 years of experience as a sports insurance specialist and risk manager. You need to purchase accident and general liability insurance on 100% of the teams in your league prior to the start of the regular season, or even earlier in most cases, to cover tryouts and preseason activities. Accident insurance pays medical bills on behalf of injured participants on an excess basis after any existing family insurance has responded. General liability covers lawsuits alleging bodily injury and property damage, primarily injuries to spectators and participants. You also need to purchase directors and officers liability because it covers certain types of lawsuits that are not covered by general liability, such as discrimination, wrongful termination or suspension of your staff or players, and failure to follow your own rules and bylaws when making administrative decisions. Leagues that have bank accounts or credit cards need crime insurance to protect against insider embezzlement and unauthorized personal charges. And leagues that have significant equipment values need equipment insurance to protect against loss due to fire, wind, theft, and vandalism. You should require all of your participants and their parents to sign our recommended waiver release form as a precondition of participation. Our Dixie Insurance web pages have articles that explain why they're worth the paper they're written on and why the use of electronic waivers as part of an online registration is permissible. We also provide the sample waiver form, as you can see on this page. In addition, you need to adopt and implement 3 of our simple risk management programs, which are found on our Dixie web pages, to better protect yourself and to try to prevent the injury or lawsuit in the first place. The first one we've already talked about is to have a safe sport compliant child abuse risk management plan in place, in addition to running criminal background checks on all staff with access to youth. The second is our one-page concussion risk management program, which is not a carrier requirement, but is strongly recommended as it provides basic coach education on concussions, which do account for about 7% of total injuries in youth baseball and softball, which is a pretty significant number, which deserves your attention. Many states have legislation that requires youth sports organizations to have a written concussion risk management plan in place. And the third is our 13-page risk management program, which provides broad-based awareness training on how to recognize risk at the ballpark and how to respond to risk. It covers risk in your facilities, equipment, supervision, instruction, sports injury care, and auto safety. You simply distribute the program by email to all of your administrators and staff, and they read it. This awareness training will automatically result in risk management being practiced and in a reduction of injuries and lawsuits. I've quickly summarized what I think you need to do in my opinion, and now I want to show you how you access our services on our website for when you get back home. Our website is saddlersports.com, and you go to get a quote and come over here under association programs and see that we have separate pages for youth, boys, and softball. And for the demonstration today, I'm going to click on Dixie Youth, but boys and softball are almost identical to this page. And I want you to take a look at the quick education section here. The first is the risk of going uninsured or underinsured. Now, this applies to the leagues that still don't buy insurance, mistakenly think that they're covered adequately by their municipal rec department, or those that make the mistake of only buying insurance on their tournament teams. Now, we pay out a lot of claims under this program. The average accident claim is $1,600, and the average general liability claim is $49,000. And down here, we list the sources of the most common types of injuries and lawsuits, and most are things that you would expect, such as slips, trips, and falls, spectators being hit by overthrown balls, and serious injuries to players, but others are very bizarre and unexpected. For example, we've had claims resulting from fights between umpires and players, electrocutions from shorts and light poles, concession workers being burned by cooking devices, drownings at swimming outings, and we even had an auto fatality caused by negligently placed league signage that blocked the view of a driver. The second section is the 11 reasons that the Endorsed Dixie programs blow away the competition. Now, this is not just sales exaggeration, but I can confidently tell you that the Endorsed Dixie programs offer your leagues the broadest coverages available anywhere at the absolute lowest cost. Also, we have the fastest and easiest online enrollment in the industry, where in 5 to 10 minutes, you can get a quote on all 5 policies, pay with online credit card or check, and print off your proof of coverage docs and certificates 24/7. Our automation allows you to self-issue new certificates for new field owners at any time, and you can even add additional insured status if required. Also, if you end up registering more teams than expected, you can simply complete an add delete form, and you can add the additional teams for an additional premium. The third section is coverage descriptions of all 5 policies. Now, you need to review this to understand why you really need all 5 of the insurance policies that are available. This section also explains many of our custom coverage enhancements, such as sex abuse and molestation and non-owned and hired auto liability. And our competitors a lot of times do not offer those coverages. The 4th section is what you need to know before you apply. The main point I would like to hit on here is that some leagues make the mistake of only buying coverage for their tournament teams. That's playing with fire because most of the exposure is going to occur during the regular season. Also, if you do buy insurance for all regular season teams, you will automatically meet the Dixie rulebook requirements for your tournament teams. And if your leagues host an officially sanctioned tournament, you're going to sail through the credentials committee meetings. On the other hand, if you don't buy through the Endorsed program, your paperwork will be closely scrutinized and you may be scrambling for replacement insurance at the last minute. Also, we are increasingly being asked if our insurance covers play against non-Dixie teams, whether you are traveling to other locations or hosting. And the answer is yes, but only if it is approved by your league president and follows Dixie safety rules and regulations. And finally, we have a risk management section on our Dixie web pages if you scroll down to the bottom. This section is full of legal forms, articles, and risk management templates that are user-friendly. We also have a blog with over 500 educational articles where you can research just about any issue involving safety or insurance for youth baseball or softball. Also, the webpage includes a video, which is pretty much the same thing as the presentation I'm giving now, and is perfect for you to take home to share with your board, or if you're a district director looking for educational content at your district meeting. Thanks for your time today, and remember, with the free tools that we offer on our website, it takes very little time for you to train your staff on how to practice effective risk management. Please check out our web pages at saddlersports.com for Dixie Youth, Dixie Boys, and Dixie Softball. And if you have any questions, you can contact us by phone, email, or chat. Thank you.